And so we are recording, and I'll invite you to make your way down onto your mat. And as I said, if you just joined the class, ideally we're going to have some space to bring our legs up onto the wall. So if you need to change the orientation of your computer so that you're near a wall, or you can do that later. But if you can have a place where you can put your legs up on the wall, that will be great. So we'll come down and we're going to start lying down. And if your mat is kind of sideways to the computer, that'll probably work out nicely. But I know everybody has different kinds of space. So as you make your way down, if you want a blanket under your head, go ahead and do that. Just start with your arms at your side and notice how you're feeling. As you lie down, what does it feel like to lie down? When we lie down, in general, the body relaxes, and maybe your body's feeling great this morning. Maybe you've got some aches and pains. So recognize and acknowledge the experience of being in your body. But if you've got some aches and pains or an injury, can we hold that awareness with a sense of care and tenderness and kindness, rather than considering that like a pain or something, hard and difficult? Like, we're going to care for ourselves this morning and offer ourselves a practice that addresses how we're feeling. So it begins by noticing how we're feeling. And when we practice yoga, it's this opportunity to really recognize where we are, where our body is in space. This is really good for the mind. It's calming for the mind to just focus our awareness on our body. Rather than being up in our heads or on our computers, we're in our body now. So feel the ground beneath you. And then begin to feel your breathing. Feel your breath flowing into your body. Feel your breath emptying out of your body. Just enjoy the fullness of the experience of breathing. What does it feel like to breathe in? How does it feel to let the breath empty out? Go ahead and let it empty. This breath is our gift of life. We have this gift of life. We have this gift of living in this amazing body of ours. So as we're experiencing our breathing, can we experience it with a sense of gratitude? Gratitude for this moment, this breath. We find that when we bring an attitude of gratitude, we feel more happy. And really, if we're happy, that's sort of the ultimate goal in life. In any moment, all the moments that we have, if we can be happy, that's like the best moment, right? So gratitude can help us to feel more happy. So grateful for this moment and this breath. All right. So we'll begin our movement practice. Let's begin by taking one foot off the floor, and we'll hug that knee in, and you could just extend the other leg straight. So the leg that's on the floor is nice and relaxed, and then just hug the other knee in nice and close. And then let go of that leg, keep the knee bent, and your arms come down to your side. We're gonna point the toe and lift the leg up, and then flex the foot and bend the knee down. So we're just gonna point and lift, and flex and bend, and point and lift, and flex and lower. One more time like that, point and lift, and flex and lower, and then keep your foot flexed as you bring the leg up, and then point and bend the knee. So we're gonna flex the foot and lift the leg up, point the toe and bend the knee. One more time like that, flex and lift, and point and bend, and then release that foot down and change legs. So hug your other knee in and extend the other leg out straight. And then hold the knee bent, but drop your arms at your side. We'll point the toe and lift the leg up, flex the foot and bend the knee. So we're pointing to lift and flexing to bend. So we're just loosening up the leg, the back of the leg, the ankle, the calf. So the next time your foot is flexed and down, take that flexed foot and lift it up, and then point at the top and bend the knee down. So we're flexing to go up and pointing to lower, and just 2 more like that. Yeah, loosening up, warming up the muscles in the feet, in the ankles, in the calf, and in the thigh. Great, release that foot down. Let's put both our feet on the floor. We're gonna lift our heads up now. You might move a blanket away if you had one under your head. So hold the weight of your head in your hands and let the head rest back. You're holding your head a little bit off the floor, elbows wide. So let's take a breath in. And as we exhale, let's draw the low ribs down into the belly and let that action lift up your head, neck, and shoulders, kind of looking beyond your knees now, back of the ribs pressing down into the floor. And then we'll inhale to release back. So again, exhale, knit your low ribs down into your belly and curl up. And then inhale and release back. One more time like that. Exhale, curling up. And inhaling, releasing back. Now this time as you exhale and curl up, can you take both your feet off the floor and bring your knees in? And then as your head goes back, we're just going to tap the toes down. Breathe in. So exhale and curl up, bring the knees in. Inhale, tap the toes, release the head back. So we can continue like this, dropping the toes down each time. Or the next time you exhale and curl up, could you extend the legs out as you inhale the head back? So you could alternate toes down one time, and then the next time extending the legs out. Or you could just do one or the other. You might tap your toes each time. You might extend your legs out each time. You might alternate. If you're extending the legs out, go at a height that you don't let your back arch more than a little bit. Keep the low back connected. So there's maybe a little curve in your low back, but you're not popping up. So let's do a few more of these. You might be tapping the toes. You might be extending the legs out. You might take the legs on a high angle. You might take them on a lower angle, but we're not letting the low back arch up off the floor. Let's do 2 more like this. And the next time after you curl up, release your feet down, release your head down. Release your head to the floor, take your arms out to the side like a T. Take your knees up over your hips, or maybe even a little closer in. Take a breath. Exhale your knees over to one side, maybe halfway or so. Hold them there and take another breath. As you exhale, bring your knees back up. Let's let them drop halfway over to the other side. We'll hold them there and take a breath. And with the exhale, bring those knees back to center. So knees going over to one side, holding them there and taking a breath. Exhaling those knees back up, letting the knees go over to the other side, taking a breath. Exhaling back up. We can do this with bent knees, or we could straighten the legs, going over to one side, holding them there and taking a breath. And exhaling back up over to the other side. So bent knees or straight legs, we're warming up those oblique muscles, getting them to work. One more time to each side, hold, take a breath. Exhale back up and over to the other side. How is this feeling? How does this movement feel in your body? And what is your perspective on it? All right, let's roll to the side, push ourselves up, and we'll be on our side here now. We'll get our forearm beneath us, elbow right beneath the shoulder. We'll stack our knees, place hands on the hips, and let's just lift the hips up. So we're putting some load, some weight on this bottom shoulder. And then with the side waist, maybe lift the hips a little higher. And then we'll lower the hips close to the floor, but maybe not all the way down, and then lift up again. So we're lowering down and lifting those hips up, lowering down, taking those hips up. So feeling that bottom side waist working to lift the hips up. We'll do a few more like this. Lift those hips up. You could have your hand on your hip. You could lift your arm up toward the ceiling, creating space from bottom shoulder to top shoulder here. And then the next time the hips lift up, see if you can get them a little higher. Take another breath and then let the hips come down. Good, let's swing our legs forward and then flip over to the other side. So we have the other forearm beneath the shoulder, the knees stacked, the feet stacked, the hand on the hip, and then we lift the hips up off the floor. If you're on a really hard surface and you want to cushion that bottom knee, go ahead and do so. So take the hips up maybe a little higher and then lower down close to the floor, but not touching. And then lift back up and then lower down. Bottom side waist engages to lift the hips and then lower back down. That arm could be on, the hand could be on your hip or the arm could be reaching up. And we'll do a few more of these. Lifting up nice and high. Just putting a little weight load into the muscles of the shoulder here. Trying not to collapse. So try not to collapse your ear into your shoulder. Space from your shoulder to your ear. The next time you lift up, could you lift a little higher? Take a breath. Nice job. And then come down. And then we'll come over onto all fours. So if kneeling is uncomfortable for you, feel free to come to standing with your hands on the chair. Otherwise, we have our knees beneath us and our hands on the floor. Let's start with a nice long spine, long from tail to crown. We'll take a breath in. As we exhale, let's round the back, dropping the tail, dropping the head, pushing down and rounding through the back. Then come to your long spine. And as we inhale, let's arch the back. So lift the tail, drop the chest, pull the heart forward, look forward, extend. And then just alternate between those two movements a few times. Exhaling to round. Inhaling to arch and extend. One more time like that. Moving with your breath. How does this feel? How do you feel? So after the next time you arch and extend, make your way back to your long spine, neutral spine. Can you move your hips a little side to side? And then if you take your hips to one side, can you arch your back, or round your back, and then take your hips to the other side and then come to your arched back. So your hips go to one side and then you round your spine. Hips go to the other side and then start to extend your spine as you come center. If this feels good, go ahead and continue doing it like this. If this doesn't feel great, you can just continue to do just a regular cat-cow. So we're moving the hip side to side, and then we're extending as so we're rounding as we move side to side, and then we're arching as we move side to side. And then just change direction. So take your hips to the other side, and then round. Take your hips to the other side, and then extend. So maybe you like this different way of moving. Maybe it's not for you. What feels good? Do what feels right for your body. And then we'll come back to flat back. And let's sit back into child's pose. Sitting back on the heels. Your arms can be way out in front, your forehead to the floor, or you might just support your forehead on your bent arms. As your head rests on your arms, take a moment to really feel your breath moving into the back of your ribs, and feel your breath emptying and releasing. How does it feel to be alive in this moment? So with your next inhale, lift your head up, reach your arms way out in front, come onto knees and curl your toes under. Let's come up to downward facing dog. So as we make our way to downward facing dog, this to me always feels like a very playful place to be. It's our chance to be upside down, to see the world from a different perspective. It's a chance to kind of see our feet, see our legs, see the world just differently. So enjoy being here and kind of notice what it's like to be upside down. As you're here, you can bend a knee and pedal a heel to the floor, alternating heels down. You could release your neck by shaking your head a little bit side to side. You might move your hips a little bit, do whatever feels good. Maybe just tap into what it feels like to breathe when you're upside down. And then balance the weight evenly on your 2 feet now. Bend both knees a bit. Take your hips way up and back, nice and long. Take a breath in and out. And then walk your hands back towards your feet. Drop your heels down. Knees can be nice and bent or soft here as you're folded over like a rag doll. Feel your feet connected to the floor. Draw your belly in and just begin to roll yourself up. Let your spine slowly, gradually stack up on top of itself. One vertebra on top of the other. And then eventually let your head come up. Great. All right, we're going to step to the front of the mat. I think I'm going to step to the, no, there's a plant there. I'm going to step to this end of my mat. So you're at the front end of your mat, whatever that is for you. We're going to root ourselves down and take the arms out initially, nice and broad here. See how much space you can create from shoulder to shoulder, from finger to fingertip. And then as you root down, reach up. And as you reach up, stretch. Feel your ribs sliding up. Feel your heart lifting up a little bit. And then sweep your arms out, soften your knees, and swan dive and fold over your legs. Nice rag doll again here. We could have fingertips on the floor or hands on the shins. Let's inhale and extend forward. So that same length and a little bit of arch in your back. And then we'll exhale and fold over again. We'll bring our hands to the floor now. Let's step our feet back to downward facing dog. Take the hips way up and back as you breathe in. Exhale and lower to straight arm plank. Pushing down strongly into the thumbs, the fingers, the knuckles, heels press back. Notice where your head is. Sometimes we drop the head down or we jut the chin forward. Can you feel a nice long line of your neck? You're always welcome to let your knees drop down for a little more support if you like. We'll try a little bend in the elbows here to fire up the backs of the arms. When the elbows bend, sometimes the head drops or the hips drop. Can you keep that alignment as you take one more breath? And then we can drop to knees and we'll lower our chest down to the floor. So let your chest sink into the floor. Let your head come close to the floor. Lift your chin and your nose up so you're looking straight down, back of the neck long. Heels of the hands by the low ribs. Heels of the hands press back as you pull your heart forward and inhale up to baby cobra. Let's exhale back down. We'll do that again. Inhale up to baby cobra. Lift your hands up. Lift your elbows to the ceiling and hug them in slightly. Get the muscles in between the shoulder blades and beneath there, hugging in. And then release your hands, release your chest. This time, hands stay down. We'll come up to baby cobra and then maybe come up a little higher if you like into cobra and then lower back down. Let's push up to knees. Curl the toes under, lift the knees, and then use the belly, lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. We'll breathe in and out here. And then look a little forward, walk your feet up toward your hands, plant your feet beneath you. Let's sweep the arms out here. Inhale and rise up. And we'll exhale our arms down at our side. We'll do that again. Rooting down, inhale, reach out and up. Exhale and swan dive forward. Now I'd like you to take a big step back with your right foot into a lunge. And then we're going to drop onto that back knee. So if you need to cushion the knee with a blanket or fold your mat over, you can. Come onto the top of that back foot and then lift your chest up. Your hands can go to that knee. We're going to just let the weight come forward on that knee, starting to stretch into this back leg. So keep a little tone in your belly here so you don't dump into your low back as you bring some weight forward. And then you can push the weight back a little bit. We'll bring the weight forward, bending the knee forward, feeling that stretch, an appropriate stretch for how you're feeling this morning. This time as the weight comes forward, take your right arm and lift it up. Just stretch up. Stretch from the knee to the fingertips. Maybe even press the back knee down a bit to create a little more active stretch. Maybe lift your other arm up as well. Big breath here. And then exhale your hands down to the floor. Curl the back toes under, press up to lunge, and then step back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Exhale to straight arm plank. You're welcome to drop to knees or keep them lifted. Try a little bend in your elbows and then lower yourself all the way down. Find your prone mountain. Then we'll inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. Exhale back down and make your way up and back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Look a little forward, walk your feet up toward your hands, plant your feet beneath you, and we'll sweep our arms out. Inhale and rise up. And we'll exhale our arms down at our side. So up at the front of your mat, if you're not already there, inhale and reach out and up. Exhale and swan dive forward. This time as you bend your knees, bring your hands to the floor, take a big step back with your left foot into a lunge. We're going to drop onto that knee. Feel free to cushion the knee if you like. Come onto the top of the back foot and then push the weight back onto that back knee, bringing your chest up. Your hands can go on this front knee. We're just going to bend and straighten. So you decide how deep of a stretch you're ready for. And to make this a more active stretch, push this back knee down as you're doing this. Push the knee down into the mat. The next time the knee is bent, pause there, take that left arm, same arm as the back leg, and reach it up. Push the back knee down as your arm lifts up, and then maybe add the other arm lifting up as well. Take a breath, and then bring your hands down to the floor. Curl the back toes under and press up to lunge, and then step back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Lower to straight arm plank. Try a little bend in the elbows, and then lower yourself all the way down. Inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. Exhale back down, and make your way up and back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. All right, from here, take your right leg up in the air. Take a breath. And then option here, you can either pull the knee in, you could drop onto the back knee and step the right foot out in front, or you might just step that right foot out into lunge. Just make your way into a lunge. Again, right foot forward. Feet are as wide as your hips. Now, maybe you can keep your back heel lifted. Maybe you need to put that heel down. You could maybe put it down just to rise up. We're going to rise up, and then we're going to try and lift the back heel. So that heel is lifted and pointing towards the back line of the mat as the front knee and shin bend towards the front line of the mat. So we're going to inhale and straighten the front leg and exhale and bend the knee. Inhale and straighten the front leg. Exhale and bend the knee. Couple more like that. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. One more. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. So as the knee and shin bend forward, the back heel presses back. Can we lift the heart up now? We'll drop the arms, reach them out, and inhale the arms up. Big breath in as we reach up. And then exhale your hands down to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. You could stay here or take a little break on your knees, or we can flow, straight arm plank, little bend in the elbows, lowering down, inhaling up to baby cobra or cobra, exhaling back down, and making our way up and back to downward facing dog. Let's lift the left leg up in the air now, taking a breath. We're going to bend that knee and pull it up and in. You might drop onto the back knee and step the foot out, or just step that left foot forward into a lunge. Maybe your back heel can stay lifted, or you might put it on the floor. We're going to rise up now. And if you can lift that back heel and turn it back, great. If that foot needs to be down, that's fine. If your foot is down, your thigh rolls out, but your hip can turn more towards the front line of your mat. So we're going to inhale and straighten the front leg. Exhale and bend the knee. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Couple more. Inhale and straighten. Exhale and bend. Last time. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. So that front knee and shin are, as the energy is moving forward, the energy of the back heel presses back as the heart lifts up. We'll lower our arms down. Let's sweep them out and up and overhead. Big breath here. Now release the arms down. I want you to drop your back heel down. And hopefully you're facing the camera, the computer. If not, turn around so that you've got this wide stance. We can straighten the front leg. So we've got this wide stance, the length of the mat. So now I want us to turn and orient towards the short line of the mat. So this back heel is down and the foot is angling deeply inward, right? So your foot's not turned towards the long line of your mat. Your back foot is turned towards the short line of your mat. So hands on hips here. This front leg is currently straight. We're going to inhale up tall, and we're going to exhale and start to hinge from the hips forward toward a flat back. Now, as you're doing this movement, if you need to put a little bend in the front knee, feel free to do so. Maybe a little micro bend. So we're moving toward a flat back here. Can you keep your neck in line with your spine? Now let's push into the front foot and rise back up. Inhale here, exhale and hinge forward. So you're leaning towards the short line of your mat. Can you square your shoulders to the floor? Can you keep your neck in line with your spine? You might have a bend in your front knee. It might be fairly straight. Push into the front leg. Inhale and rise back up. One more time. Start to hinge forward toward a flat back. Can you square your shoulders to the floor? Your hands could stay to hips. Your hands could come down on your legs now. Or maybe some of us might be able to reach our fingertips to the floor. If you had blocks, you could use blocks. But hands on the leg is fine too. So spine is nice and long here. We'll take a breath. And then let your back round. Let your low back, your mid back, your upper back round. Maybe your hands reach toward the floor. Breathe into your back of your ribs, back of your lungs. Let the breath go. And then let's bring our hands either onto the shin or back onto your hips. Come to your flat back and then push into that front foot to bring yourself all the way up. Great. We're going to turn the feet forward and then we're going to spin all the way around the other direction. So again, this back foot's going to angle in deeply. So we end up facing the short line of our mat. So you adjust as you need to. There's a big distance, front foot, back foot. Front foot is facing the short line of your mat. Back foot is angling inward. Hands on hips, spine nice and upright. Take a breath in. As we exhale, we're going to start to hinge forward. Again, that front knee could be straight, or you could put a little bend in that knee if that's better for you. We're moving toward a flat back. Let's push down into the front foot to inhale and rise up. We'll do that again. Hinge forward, which means we hinge from the crease of the front hip. We're not bending at the waist, we're not bending at the neck. We're just trying to move toward a flat back. And then we'll push down to rise back up. Breathe in. One more time. As we hinge forward, the shoulders are parallel. They eventually are parallel to the floor. Then let's let the hands slide down the leg. We might support ourselves with our hand on the leg. Some of us might bring the fingertips to the floor. We'll take a breath here with a long spine. And then as we exhale, we'll let the back round. Low back, mid back, upper back round. Breathe into your upper back. Let the breath go. Then again, your hands could go to your shin or your hands could come to your hips. Push into the front leg, come up to flat back, and then keep pushing down to rise all the way up. Great, and then turn around again to face forward. Great. Let's go back to the first side. We're going to turn the left foot in, turn the right foot out. And we'll just bend and straighten the knee. Feel your feet nice and planted. So there's no curling of the toes. It's really a solid footing. I think I mentioned this the other day. I heard this study they did on preventing falls with older people who were exposed to yoga. And they reduced falls by 50%. And they said they felt it was because they had greater awareness of their bodies. And in particular, they recognized where their feet were. And that is one of the gifts of this practice. We're constantly being encouraged to really feel our bodies and feel our feet on the ground. All right, so the next time your leg is straight, we're going to tip over. So tip the hips over and slide your hand down this leg. If you, again, need to put a little bend in that knee, that's fine. So tip yourself over as far as feels right for you. Take your other arm that's on your hip forward and just open that arm up, coming into triangle. So could you lengthen the spine at all here, stretching out through the crown of your head? Could you lengthen out from your center, reaching that top arm up as the bottom arm reaches down? Let's release the neck by releasing the head to look down at the floor. We'll breathe in and out here. And then push down through the feet, especially that front foot, to bring yourself back up. Great. Turn your feet forward. Let's go to the other side. So right foot turns in, left foot turns out. And we'll just start bending and straightening the knee a few times. Just bending into that, getting some mobility in this back hip, keeping that back foot planted so we get a little stretch in that outer ankle. One more time, bend and straighten. And then with the front leg straight, we're going to tip the hips over and slide that front hand down the leg. Leaning over to the side. Then the hand on the hip can come forward and let's just open up toward the ceiling. So now the shoulders are squared towards the computer. The spine is long. We can push down into the legs, get a little greater stretch into the legs. And let's release the neck by turning the head to look down at the floor. We'll breathe in and out here. And then push down into that front foot and back foot to rise up. Great. Turn that foot in. So now we're going to explore the possibility of coming into a squat. A squat is not for all of us. Some of us, our knees or our ankles make it difficult to squat. So if squatting isn't for you, you can just come all the way to seated, sitting in bound angle with your feet together. If it works for you to drop into a squat, some people in a squat, their heels are off the floor. And if that's how your body works, that's fine. If you can get your heels down, get your heels down. Can you bring your arms inside of your knees and push out? And then as you're pushing out with your arms, can you hug in with your legs? So you get some action along the inner line of the legs and the shoulders pushing out. So your elbows are pushing out, your knees are hugging in. Can you lift your heart up as your hips lower down? So breathe in and out here, pressing out, hugging in. Great. Then we'll all come down to bound ankle. So we're going to sit down. We'll bring our feet together, knees opening out. You might be holding onto your ankles here. You might find it better for you to have your hands behind. You might find it more accessible if you sit up on a blanket. So if you feel very rounded back, if you feel more like you're here, sit up on a blanket so you can be more upright. If you feel like you can be more upright with your hands here, do that. So wherever you are, push your feet into each other and then push your knees apart. So your knees are moving away from each other as your feet are pressing into each other. It's a very active place to be. Lots going on. Feet pushing in, knees pushing out, rooting through your sitting bones, sitting up tall. Take a breath. Now some people can hinge forward in this position and some people don't have that mobility in the hips. I don't have much. If you can hinge forward, go ahead and do so if that feels good. If that feels like it strains the low back, then don't do it. Take a breath. And then come back up. Great. Go ahead and straighten out your legs. Shake them out a little bit. All right, we're going to play around with headstand, a very simple basic version of headstand that everyone can do. And the basic version of headstand, you don't need to be anywhere near a wall because we're not going to kick our legs up in the air. If you have a headstand practice that you use a wall for support, you might go and put your body near the wall. And if you're going to kick up into the wall, you're going to place your forearms on the floor with your fingertips right up against the wall. For those of us who aren't going to kick up, all we're going to do is whatever headstand we're doing, we want to find that part of our head where you would balance a book. Right the center of your head where the three parts of your skull come together. So imagine you were going to put a book on your head and you were going to balance that book, press down on that spot. And when you have an awareness of that spot, that's the part of the head that you're going to put on the floor. But if you're not sure what we're doing, watch me first. So you're going to put that part of your head on the floor. And then you're just going to clasp your hands to cradle the back of your head. So your forearms are down. And we're either just going to stay here with our knees on the floor, or we could lift our knees up. So there's a little more weight on the head. So those are our two basic versions. If you have a headstand practice you want to kick up, that's fine. So let's all, if we're not already there, place that place where we'd balance the book squarely on the floor. We'll cradle our head with our hands, letting the forearms rest on the floor. And we might be here just on our knees. The idea is to just have some weight on that central part of the head. And we have some weight if we're on our knees. We'd have a little more weight if we lifted the knees off the floor. We'd have a little more weight if we stacked the hips a little bit over the knees. And then if you kick up, you have a little more weight. If you kick up, you're going to want to push your forearms into the floor. So there's a little less pressure on the top of your head. And we'll just take a couple more breaths here. So we're gonna all come out of whatever level we're in, drop to knees, and transition to child's pose so that the forehead is supported. And take a few breaths here. Notice how it feels when you release that weight off of that part of your head. Surprisingly, when we ground through the crown of the head, it can have a sensation of helping us to feel more grounded. So notice how you feel and take one more breath. And then lift your head up. All right, so here's the point in the practice where we would use the wall. So if you have a wall, make your way to the wall. If you don't have a wall nearby, you're just gonna lift up into bridge pose. If you have a wall nearby, I want you to sit up close to the wall. So you're gonna sit with your hip right up against the wall so that you can roll down and swing your legs up onto the wall, and you'll end up close to the wall. You won't have your bum right up against the wall, but you're pretty close. Your fingertips are close to the wall. Your bum is close to the wall. So if you're not with legs up the wall, you've got your feet on the floor, heels in close, setting up for like a bridge pose. If your legs are on the wall, separate your heels about as wide as your hips. And for this, I'd like you to try to listen to the sound of my voice rather than turning your head. Just have your head looking up at the ceiling and listen to my cues so it won't strain your neck. So with your heels on the wall, push your heels into the wall so hard that your knees have to bend a little bit. And then feel as though you're clawing your heels down to the floor so that your hamstrings fire. And then use all that strength and start to peel your spine up. So it's just like lifting up into a bridge. And if your feet are on the floor, you're lifting into your bridge. If your feet are on the wall, you're also lifting the weight up onto your shoulders. Take a breath at the top. And then as you exhale, you can very slowly, gradually release your spine. Those strong legs will support you. And it's a lovely opportunity to articulate your spine. With the legs providing support, can you articulate very slowly all those upper vertebrae in the thoracic spine, and then continuing to articulate down into your lumbar spine. And then eventually you'll lower down to the point where your sacrum is on the floor, and then you can let your legs relax and take a breath. And we'll do this a bunch of times. Push your heels into the wall, feel your heels clawing down, fire up your hamstrings, and then use those to lift your hips up and up and up, bringing the weight onto your shoulders. Take a breath at the top, and then nice, easy, slow, gradual lowering down. So we're really working our hamstrings here, which will provide the support for a lovely spinal articulation. Slow, gradual release, giving that chance, a little opportunity to mobilize a bit. Release some of the stiffness in the spine. And then once you're down, take a break, let everything relax. So we could continue rolling up and down, and that's going to be right for some of us. If you have a shoulder stand practice, we can use the wall for our shoulder stand. We'll press the heels down, we'll bring the weight up onto our shoulders, and then hugging your arms in close, you might clasp your hands to get your shoulders snugged in close beneath you. You could place your hands on your low back, fingertips to the ceiling, and try taking one or both legs off the wall, making your way into shoulder stand. So if shoulder stand's not for you, you can continue rolling up and down. You could also just lie with your legs up the wall, which is a nice restorative yoga pose. If you've made your way to shoulder stand, make sure your shoulders and elbows are snugged in close so they have the support when your hands are on your low back. Your basically the back of your arms, the back of your shoulders pressing down is what's holding you up here. So take a few breaths wherever you are. You might just have legs up the wall. You might be on the floor, going up into bridge and lowering down. You might be in your shoulder stand. How are you feeling? Grateful for this opportunity to be here now. Focusing on our own body, our own present moment experience. Take one more deep breath in and out. And if your legs are on the wall, you can roll down. If you're in shoulder stand, you might take your legs to the wall. You might bring your knees to nose. You might take your feet over behind for plow pose. And wherever we are, we can just roll ourselves out slowly, gradually, incrementally, releasing that spine down. Great. All right, so if you're close to the wall, you might put your feet on the wall and push yourself away, give yourself a little room. And then you can roll to the side, push yourself up. Great. All right, we're gonna make our way over back to the mat, and you can sit facing towards me. I want you to just sit cross-legged. I'm just gonna make sure we're all muted here. Great. Okay. So we're gonna be sitting and cross-legged. We'll just do a simple cross-legged twist. So, and if sitting cross-legged isn't comfortable and you have to have one leg out to the side, or you want to sit in a chair, that's fine too. So wherever you are, root your sitting bones down to sit up tall. Take one arm behind and the other arm across. And then with your spine, with that, feeling that line of your spine, can you just rotate around the line of your spine in the direction of that arm that's behind you? So as you rotate around in that direction, you're kind of turning towards the wall behind you. Your ribs, chest, and shoulders are going that direction. Can you take your navel, your pelvis, and rotate it back towards the computer? So your upper body's twisting back and around, your lower body's pulling the opposite way. And then take a deep breath in and out. Let the breath empty, do that again. And then release and unwind back around to the front. Let's go to the other side. One hand goes behind, other arm comes across. Root down, straighten up. Feel that line of your spine, and then just rotate around that line towards that back arm. Ribs, chest, and shoulders spiral around. But then the navel, the pelvis twists back around towards the computer. So it's more of a wringing out sensation, upper body in one direction, lower body kind of resisting the other way. And then deep breath in and out. One more time, feel the breath move in and down. Allow that breath to empty and release. And then unwind yourself back to face forward. Great. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to change the cross of the legs. So we always cross one leg in and then the other. So can you switch that? Other leg crosses in first, and other leg crosses in front. And then we'll go back to the first side. One arm behind, other arm comes across. Root down, rise up, breathe in. With your exhale, spiral around. As you're spiraling around towards the wall behind you, reorient your navel to face the camera. And then breathe in and out. Full release of breath here. One more time, deep breath in and out. And then release, unwind, and we'll go the other way. So twisting is an opportunity to let go of tension in the body, stress, emotional baggage. So root down, rise up, and then spiral in that direction. Let your upper body twist back and your lower body come back around to face the camera. And then let your breath be an experience, energetic experience. Invite positive energy in with your breath. And with your exhale, just let anything negative, stressful, unwanted, old, stale, let it go. So nice, clean, fresh, positive energy in. And let go. Anger, frustration, resentment. Release it now. And then release back around. Nice job. All right, we're going to transition to lying down on our backs. Go ahead and make your way onto your back. If you're more comfortable with a blanket under your head, go ahead and slide a blanket under your head. Just as we started, we're going to hug the right knee in and let the left leg rest heavy on the floor. As you hug that right knee in, grab it with your right hand, just open it out to the side. Open, lengthen that inner thigh, take a breath. Bring that knee back. Take the knee with both hands and hug it in towards your midline, and then pull it towards the opposite shoulder. So you're just stretching into that outer hip. Breathe in and out here. And then bring that knee back center. Maybe hug it in a little closer. And then release that foot down. We'll just do that whole series on the other leg. Hug the left knee in, slide the right leg out. Let the right leg be heavy and loose on the floor. With the weight of the right leg down, hug that left knee in close. With your left hand, open that left knee out to the side. Breathe in. Draw that knee back to center. Grab it with both hands. Hug that knee into the midline. And then can you kind of hug it up towards the opposite shoulder. Stretch into that outer hip. Take a breath. And then bring the knee back. Release that foot down. And we're going to move into our final relaxation now. So you might just lie back where you are, or you might take a moment to get yourself comfortable. So you might grab something to put under your head. You could move to your bed if you're in your bedroom, if that's more comfortable. You might cover up with something or put something under your knees. So set yourself up to be as comfortable as possible and then lie back. Lie back and allow the weight of your body to drop into the floor. Go ahead and let your eyes close. And begin to allow your body to relax. Feel the weight of your legs releasing into the floor. Relax the bottoms of your feet, your ankles, your calves, the backs of your knees, the weight of your thighs. Give the weight of your hips to the floor. Feel your belly softening, relaxing, releasing and melting into the floor. Allow the weight of your shoulders to release back. Feel your arms heavy. Soften the creases of the elbows. Relax the palms of your hands. Feel the heaviness of your head resting back. Smooth out your forehead. Feel your eyes relaxing. Let your jaw relax, your throat soften. As your body relaxes, your mind comes along. Let your mind rest now. And just let yourself be as you are. And I'll share a little reading with you all. This is again from Dana Falls. It's called There's Love Here. As you're lying back, offering yourself this gift of relaxation, here are her words. I feel the warm embrace of spirit flowing into me from somewhere I can't see. There is love here, arising inside me as naturally as the sky brightens before dawn. Love enough to fill all of us, and more besides. The spontaneous grace of the divine is moving through me, through the universe, unfazed by fear or obstacles of any kind. Yes, it's clear. There is love here. So with loving kindness to yourself, very gently and gradually, you can start to come out of your relaxation. Or if you want to stay there longer, you can. If you're making your way out, maybe slowly, gradually opening your eyes, bending your knees and bringing your feet to the floor. Slowly, gradually transitioning in whatever way is right for you. So recognizing that connection that binds us all, that oneness, is often considered love. That's the thing, that's the force that holds us all together. And of course, that's the spirit of our greeting, our salutation in yoga, that spirit of namaste, love from me to you, love that connects us all. So thanks for being here. Namaste.